from Detroit, Michigan, USA. In My House, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help.
Welcome to another In My House Techno Music Show. I am your host, T. Carlita. Once again, Happy New Year. 2022 is gone. 2023 is here. And guess what? 2022 is gone. 2023 is here. But guess what is still here year after year after year? M-U-S-I-C is music. Music is always here from one year to the next year, 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 as long as people like this week's guest, DJ Maaco. As Maaco exists, music will always continue, because guess what? Maaco is here today, and there'll be another Maaco tomorrow. Now, my Maaco, but it's going to be another Maaco of some form or another. I am so excited and so happy that he is here to tell his true stories. And let's talk about some of his real good music that he plays. And y'all see me on Facebook the other day. That vinyl record that I played, let me tell y'all something. The boy is bad. He is awesome. And I am so, so grateful that we use this virtual platform called Zoom to get it done. We are still safe. COVID is still looming and running around and all the rest of that stuff. He over there, I'm over here. Ain't nobody making nobody sick. We just here to talk about good music and who he is. Maaco, welcome, welcome, welcome.
What up, dog? Thank you, Carlita. I want to call you Miss Nelson or T. Carlita. In My House. Thank you.
For dinner, I'll be on time when you start making music. That's all you got to call me. Whatever comes, I answer to everything. Okay, I've been called worse in my day, so hey, I can handle it.
Nothing but good on this end. I want to say thank you for having me on. I'm a long time fan, long time watcher. I've watched some of everybody on this show. I really like what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I think this show is what the culture needs. I love what you're doing for the culture, and I think your show is bigger than what you might think it is. Because I'm telling you, I done saw some of everybody on here, from Romalis, like I said, Tink Thomas, Matt Mike, Digital, man, Julian. I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, I'm like, man, Keith. I'm like, when I'm gonna get my turn?
Yeah.
So finally, Leon, yeah.
So the joy about this show that I like is the fact that I do get the opportunity as a journalist and having a degree from University of Michigan Dearborn, shameless plug.
All right.
Degree in journalism. So it's my job to, bring things that matter to people, talk about the music, the culture, and what we live for. And people like yourself and all the others who have blessed me to when I call and say, hey, I want you to be a guest on my show. Sure, I love that. So to have you here and to know that you are our family really makes me excited. You never know who's watching. So I always try to put my best face forward. And when you see T. Carlita, Miss Nelson, Tina, when you see me on the streets, and when I see you on the streets, I don't have to turn my head in shame. I tell Tina. It's a beautiful thing. But let's talk about Maaco. So when did you get the idea that you wanted to even DJ, create music? What was some of your historical, when did you start? What made you want to start?
Well, I was always in the music. We grew up with music. But when I was a kid, I used to play drums at church. And I was like 6, 7 years old doing that. And as I got older, I put the drumsticks down and I got into breakdancing. Breakdancing came through the city and everybody was a breaker, it seems like. And so that was the thing, dancing. But while dancing, this was probably around 84, 85, you start hearing records like Electric Kingdom and Egypt. Well, no, I take that back. Before breakdancing, you would hear stuff like, when we heard Planet Rock, that was just like, what the heck is that? Numbers was so futuristic, sound like, something from the moon, But a lot of those records, I didn't think you can actually buy them. I just thought it was something that, it was like radio promote, something, some radio stuff. I didn't think you could just actually own the records. And so going through the breakdancing phase, and as I got to, listening and paying attention to the records, The Wizard came on. So when The Wizard came out, I mean, we used to wait for The Wizard to come on to really throw down. So when The Wizard came on, we had the cardboard, the radio, and we would go at it. And
the radio.
Yeah. And still with that, I thought, okay, whatever he's doing is sweet. It's hell of a sweet. But I thought it was something you had to go to a studio to do. I didn't think it was, it was just something you could do on 2 turntables. Then one day it was some young ladies throwing a party across the street from me. Now, I was 13 years old and the music came on and the DJ was cutting and scratching and all that. And they were playing all this, Clear and R9 and I'm like, damn, that sounds like The Wizard, Now, it was kind of a different time. I wanted to go over to the party, but my grandmother, she said, she wouldn't let me go. I had to wait till my brother got home from work. And, my older brother got home from work. I'm like, man, I'm thinking they sound like they got The Wizard over there. And he was like, nah, ain't no wizard over there. I'm like, this dude, man, he whoever it is, they cutting it up, So we goes over there, to the party. And lo and behold, it was Leon Purse. And that's when I became a fan of Leon's. Now, beforehand, I had an older cousin that DJ, and he was more of a mixologist, and he would, MC, he could talk on the mic like no other. But as far as cutting and scratching, I didn't think it was possible because growing up, we was always told if you touched the needle or ran the needle across the record, you could damage the record.
Right. Yep.
You know?
And
so,
break the needle too.
Exactly right. So that was a no. So when I saw Leon, I'm watching him going on two turntables, going back and forth, and I'm like, wow. So you really can buy those records. And so when I got my, got my allowance, I went straight to the record store and started looking. That's what lit the fire. It was Leon, and I would, listen to his mixtapes. I listened to the Wizard mixtapes, Jesse the Body mixtapes, and I would just listen and practice and listen and practice. And I did this all the way up until about 16.
Okay.
Piecemeal little DJ set together. It was crazy, but it was enough for me to do my thing. Right. And so there was this young lady. She was friends with my sister. She used to come over and see my sister, and she would hear me, in other room practicing. And so she asked me, she's like, "Hey, I got a birthday coming up. Would you DJ my birthday party?" And I'm like, "No, heck no, I'm not. Nah,
I'm not ready for that."
Right. Because see, back then you didn't want nobody here. You had to, before you went in front of a crowd, you had to be tight because Detroit, they let you know if you ain't,
And they have the nerve to talk about Showtime at the Apollo is hard.
Right.
Oh, Detroit. Right.
Shoot the DJ.
Yes, for real.
Real quick,
Real.
And so she finally, they persuaded me, her and my sister, they teamed up. You can do it. Stop being scared. You can do it. You do it. So then they got my brother in on it. He was like, yeah, because my brother always built speakers and all that. And he was like, yeah, you got your speakers and all that. So I ended up doing the party. And I tell you, boy, I was so nervous. It was a house party. This is when everybody moved all the furniture out the living room. The living room became the dance floor.
Blue lights, and lights.
Yeah, and I'm set up in the dining room facing the living room.
Wow.
And people got to come in when it was $1 party. They was charging $1 to get in. And I was so nervous, but that party is what did it. People were coming in like, man, who's the little guy on the turntables and all that, and there was a couple of popular DJ crews in the area at the time. And after that, people were, man, you got cards and all that kind of stuff. So the next day I went and I got some the postcards, and I was wrote my name, DJ for hire, and I put them up at the liquor store around the corner. And shoot, her birthday party was in March, and by that summer I had the neighborhood.
Simplicity at its best. And what are you, 16 or 17 by now?
Yeah, well, I was 16. And so I'm all over the neighborhood DJing. I didn't even have a car. Some parties I would catch a cab and load up. And my mom used to get so pissed off. Like, how the hell you going? You don't even know these people. You loading up that stuff going to DJ a party, but I wanted to, I just had the love and the passion to do it, and I would go and DJ this party. So I did this, man. And then I ended up, so all that summer I was doing it. And so there was this house on the other block behind me on Newport. It was these guys, they threw parties every week. Everybody knew them. They were really popular in the neighborhood. Everybody knew them for their parties. And one of the guys was like, man, we having this party and we gonna invite, a couple of DJ crews. If you want to come, you can come. And whoever, hype the crowd up the best, get the party going, they get the money. Now, mind you, what the pay was $50,
That's a lot of money back then.
Right. Especially, for a 16-year-old, Yep. So I was like, all right. And so since I was the youngest, the new kid on the block, they made me go first.
Oh boy.
So I set up and I did my thing, and I'm like scared. I'm nervous because I'm like, man, these guys, they older, they experienced, they gonna rip my butt up. But they never DJ, they never set up.
Oh, they just let you keep the party going, huh?
Yeah, they said, and later one of the guys was like, man, after you got on and started cutting and scratching, you say, man, wasn't no way I was gonna come behind you on that, And so we ended up hooking up, and one of the guys in his crew, we're still friends to this day. His name was Mike, and like I said, I had a little raggedy DJ system, and he was like, man, he looked at my turntables and all that. He was like, man, I know somebody that got 1200s. I was like, you don't know nobody got no 1200s, he was like, yeah, but he had a reputation of lying a lot. I'm like, no,
okay.
Right. I'm like, man, you're lying. You don't, because back then, nobody 1200s were like $500 a piece, and that was a lot of money back then. And he was like, yeah, I do. I know somebody got 1200. I said, all right, take me to him. And so we got on our bikes, because at the time I was living on Lakewood off Jefferson. And so we got on our bikes and we rode over to this guy's house, and he was outside. He was outside doing yard work or something, but then we goes in, and sure enough, lo and behold, he had 1200s, and I just wanted to touch him, but that was Keith Tucker. So we ended up going over his house, and then I looked over, and he had like drum machines and keyboards and stuff set up in this basement. And I'm like, man, what you doing with this stuff? And he was telling me, oh yeah, we do cover shows. They were a cover band, and they used to play like Don't Stop the Rock and all that kind of stuff, a lot of freestyle stuff. And so during this time, Billy T had a radio show, used to be called Basement Tapes. And people,
this was before the DMZ. Okay.
Oh yeah. This was Basement Tapes,
okay.
Right? And so one day he was playing a record, and he didn't play it as a basement tape. He just played it. That's a regular record. And I thought it was Model 500. I'm like, man, that's got to be a new Model 500 track. So I went and got with Mike. I said, man, I need to go over your homeboy house again. I want to ask him something. And so I goes over there, and I'm like, man, I heard this new record from, Model 5. It's got to be Model 500, and Keith was the techno guru. He knew if anything, especially about Model 500, he knew it. He had it. So he went to pulling out all this Model 500 stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. And he was like, well, this is it. He said, I don't know what it was you could have heard. So we continued talking, and he was like, yeah, me and my friend Beck, we was down at Metroplex. We tried to get a deal, with them. I was like, oh, for real? He's like, yeah. I was like, did you meet Juan? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow, that's what's up, And he was like, man, you want to hear what the stuff we got, I was like, yeah. So he played it, and it was the record that I heard. Wow. I'm like, man, that's the record I heard on Billy T's show. And he was like, man, Billy T played this. I was like, yeah. And he didn't play it as a basement tape. He just played it, and he was happy. He was jumping up and down like, oh, that's what's up, But the record was called Television. And so then he started letting me hear all this other stuff. He had like this shoebox full of tapes, and he was playing all kind of tracks for me. And a lot of those tracks came out later on Direct Beat. And so I went and I bought a little keyboard. It was a little toy keyboard. I bought it from Sears, fiddling around with it. So in the 90s, about around 90, I ended up getting with this rap group. I had a homie, he was a rapper. And, he was like, and back then every rap group needed a DJ. You couldn't be a rap group without a DJ. So I was the DJ of the rap group. So my job, of course, was to do the cuts and scratches on the records and doing the shows, do the tricks and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is a story I tried to save especially for you.
Uh-oh.
And because again, I said when I saw it, one of your shows, Tink Thomas was on it. And I was like, I remember that guy. Now, when I got with this rap group back in 90, Tink Thomas was the producer for the rap group. And you know, he was doing, you know, like a lot of, as far as hip hop beats and all that. I don't know if he was doing house then, but he was doing, you know, a lot of hip hop stuff, and they was banging. So our very first studio session, we had the session on the West Side, and it was at this guy named Dave house. And I think Dave used to play bass or guitar or something for Tina Marie or Rick James, one of them. But his basement was as far as the studio was, it was plush. I had never seen nothing like it. It was like the Starship down there. And so we goes in the basement. Tink and the owner of the record label, they went into another room. They were having a conversation. And this big argument broke out between them. And he was like, well, the hell with it, I quit. And he walked out. I was like, damn, you know.
Tink quit or the label guy? Oh, Tink quit.
Tink quit, yeah.
Okay.
He walked out, and I was like, damn, that's our music producer, you know. And then the rapper's like, well, you know, yeah, that's the music. What we gonna do? So the owner of the label, he came back into the studio part, and I'm like, you know, we thinking we're gonna cancel the session. So we're gonna cancel the session until we find another music producer. And the owner of the label was like, well, no, you a DJ, figure it out. And he left. So now I'm sitting in the studio, you know, not knowing
all this equipment that you have no clue how to use.
Exactly.
These big, back then they had them big old 40, 50.
Oh,
tracks.
yeah.
I'd have had a heart attack.
So, you know, but I tried. It took me like, we had like 8 hours. We had an 8 hour block time. And it took me all 8 of them hours to do a beat. You know, but.
And see, wait, there was no YouTube. There was no Google. You couldn't like, Siri, help me out.
All right. And so after we did the session at that studio, we started going out to the disc on 9 Mile, and it was the same deal. He put us in the studio every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 12 midnight to 10 in the morning. And we did this for like a year.
Wow.
And because I was the DJ, I became the producer, you know. But from the time it started, like I said, it took me that whole session to learn how to do a beat. By the time toward the end, I would go in that studio and I would knock out 4 or 5 tracks, whole tracks, you know, because I just soaked up everything. I had some like the coolest engineer. I had this one engineer. I never forget him. His name was Charles. They called him Chaz. And I was, at the time, I was 19. So I was the oldest out of the guys in the group. And they would fall asleep every time around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They would fall asleep. So once they would fall asleep, we stopped the session. I'd be like, okay, what that button do? What this do? What that, you know?
Now you get the one-on-one from the
yeah,
your time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then I just went, I bought all these books on engineering and sound designing and all of that. And I wore those books out. I just read them until they fell apart. And so we ended up putting out a record. So of course the first record I did was a electro record, because that was my, that's what I did,
Right.
So we put that record out. It was called DJ Maaco Cut. And it did a little noise. It didn't went like crazy, but it did a little something. And so I wanted to do a follow-up record, and he was like, "No, we're done with that. We're gonna stick with the hip hop, with the rap stuff." And I'm like, "Man, I got this record. I got this idea for this record." I'm like, "I'm telling you, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be." And he was like, what's the name of it? You know, because he was one of those guys, you had to have everything in order. You know, if you went to him with something, you had a plan or whatever, he wanted to hear the whole thing, everything got to be, you know. So I was like, yeah, I got this record. It's called Bitch I Ain't the One. He was like, nope, stop. We ain't cussing on no record. I was like, I'm telling you, man, it's going, you know. He was like, no, we're not doing it. But I stayed on him, and he finally let me do it. He said, all right, I'm gonna let you do it. I'm gonna put it on the B side.
On the B side, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we put that record out. That record blew up. That record was because I did the radio version and I did the regular version. I mean, at the time I was working at Taco Bell. I was catching the bus, and I would be at the bus stop, and people would be riding down the street, you know, banging the record, you know.
Wow, and you standing at the bus stop.
Yeah.
On your way to Taco Hell.
Right. You know, and at first, when first time you hear it on the radio, he's like, oh, wow, that's my record. But then it got to the point where it will play and you didn't want to say nothing to nobody, because first thing, you know, this Detroit, first thing people, you know, say is, well, if that's your record, why you on the bus? Where your money at? Where you at, you know?
Oh, yeah, you broke.
You know?
You broke. You a great producer. You
Right.
You out here on the bus.
Right. You know, so, but, you know, I guess, you know, but they understand, you know, I guess the music, you know, industry, you know, the music business didn't work like that. You know, record label, they had to get all their money back, all that studio, because at the time, that studio was like $60 an hour, you know, so, of course, you know, they had to make all their money back. But,
you know, and that's the one thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, all this that you're talking about is so amazing, how you're this young kid and you're thrown in this opportunity, right?
mm-hmm.
And because your love and passion for this opportunity, you took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now today, in the world of digital and everybody doing stuff this way and that way, those opportunities aren't there like they used to be, to me.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had to go in there, learn this on your own, no Google, no Siri, no nothing, you know, that's what gives you longevity, because we talk about work ethic.
Yeah.
That's very lacking today.
Yeah.
Everybody's want to push, boom, explode. But the most important part that you said was about the money. Everybody think because your record is on the radio, you rich.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of things that go into play, especially back then.
Exactly.
You know, if you think about George Clinton, let's use him as an example. George Clinton got 50 people on stage. You know, you got the horn, James Brown too, horn section, the wind section, the percussion section. But see, you're doing all this in studio. So you got your engineer, you got your audio, you got your AV, you got your this, you got your that. You got to pay all these people. And like you said, if you're in a record deal, they get their money first.
They get their money off top.
And then if there's anything left, you might can buy you a Taco Bell combo, right?
Exactly.
And that's how it went. But that's why you had to make so much music in order to see your money.
Exactly.
But if you only made one or two, you ain't gonna eat.
Right.
That's something. So let's take a quick break. Let's talk about when you arrived, like the aha moment. And
I'm still waiting on that.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the initial, when the light bulb went on, when the switch actually got turned on.
Okay.
And just the things that go into you making your music, you know. Let's talk about that. So we're gonna take a quick break, pay a couple of bills, come right back, and we're gonna continue this extremely exclusive conversation with DJ Maaco. This is T. Carlita for the In My House Techno Music Show, where the true stories are told and great music is definitely played 24/7 online.
Welcome, Judge Mathis. Thanks for coming to share an important message with the Wayne County taxpayers.
Well, thank you for allowing me to help. You know, most of my life I was a resident of Wayne County, and so I'm here to help because Treasurer Chabris wants to work with Wayne County homeowners to keep families in their homes and prevent foreclosure.
If you're having trouble making your property tax payments, let us know. We have many resources to help.
Already in the payment plan? It's important you stay in good standing.
Making property tax payments is now easier than ever. We have placed payment kiosks in community centers across the county. We've also added kiosks in our offices. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com.
And remember, stay safe, save time, make your appointments and payments online. This portion of the In My House Techno Music Show is brought to you by Maaco Events and Designs, specializing in events of all occasions and floral designs for your many needs, weddings, funerals, birthdays. Let Maaco design and let your room come to life through Maaco's Events and Designs. That's Maaco Events and Designs. Find her on Facebook, follow her on Instagram. To get in touch with Maaco, she can be reached 586-222-9752. That's 586-222-9752. Or email maacoeventsdesigns@yahoo.com. Maaco Events Designs. Thank you so much for being a proud supporter of the In My House Techno Music Show.
In My House Radio, online 24/7. Featuring only the best techno and house music. And be sure to tune in for Sunday Inspiration, every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get connected, www.inmyhouse65.com.
You are In My House, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played. In My House, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
All right, we are back with DJ Maaco, and he just got finished talking about a few of the teenage years, the formative years. Now let's fast track a little bit. At what point in your career would you say the light switch actually came on? You done gritted, you done grinded, and now you got your foot in the door and the switch is on. So at what moment in your career did that happen for you?
When my partner and I, we started a record label, our own record label in 95. And we put our first record out, and it did a little something. But it was crazy because we was trying to get like we was trying to get a distribution deal with some of the distributors over here. But I'm gonna tell you, Tina, nobody wanted to help us. Nobody wanted to help us. And so, but that didn't stop us. We just kept doing our thing. We kept, we put out another record. By the time we got to our like third, fourth record, I get a call. We used to put our, phone numbers on the record.
Mm-hmm.
I get a call, and there was this guy with this crazy accent. It was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, telling me he was from the Netherlands, and he'd been trying to get in touch with me, and then he wanted to, be my distributor. Now this was the dream, to get overseas, because
that's Rush Hour people.
No, Clone.
Oh, okay. All right.
And now, but at the time I had no idea who this guy was. He was like, want to be a sole distributor. I'm like, well, I don't know about that. I let the distribute some, but I don't know about being a sole distributor. He was like, well, he said, can you fax me a list of everything you got? What no internet like that, so.
Let me just shoot you an email through my phone.
Right. So I went and, I tallied up everything, and I sent them a fax. I had to get a doggone international card so I can do it.
So you can do the internet. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
And so I faxed him the list. And so he calls me back the next day and was like, yeah, I got the list. He said, send me everything. I'm like, everything? He's like, yeah, I take everything. Now, mind you, when we were selling these records, we was going to record shop, selling them on consignment. Some record shops would be like, okay, I'll take 5 copies, I'll take 10 copies. Then you go back, however, long later, and to get paid. So when this guy was like giving me everything, and he wired the money like immediately,
he was nervous.
I was like, whoa. So
is this the mafia? Is this
right? So I dropped the records off. He had a guy
selling my soul. Wait a minute. What am I gonna owe this guy later? Because we're from Detroit. We don't trust nobody. Either.
Right, exactly, right.
And we're from the streets, and you're from the east side. Oh, hell no.
Right. And so,
and you can't get on your bike and just drive to his house and get your money either. No, just kidding.
Right. So he gave him the records. He got the records, and so they started selling over in Europe. And then he calls me back a while later and say, hey, can you guys come over and play live? Now, I was a DJ. I've never played live before, like with no electro, techno, and nothing like that. But I was like, yeah, I could do it.
Right.
And he was like, okay. So he set it up. They set up a small tour, and we went over to the Netherlands. And we was going to his shop.
Now, who was with you at this time?
Me and a guy named P Dog.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and P Dog, we gets over to Rotterdam, and it's the Clone Record Shop. That's where the Clone Record Shop was. So we was going to go to the record shop to do an in-store. And when we got there, there was a long line of people. And they had our records, and we get to the shop, and they were so excited to see it. They want us to sign autographs. We signed them, and I had no idea.
You felt like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is crazy, and that was when I said, man, this is. But I still didn't quit my day job, because I used to play before. I said, I'd be like, I got a double life. I go across the sea, and I'm this famous guy. Then I come back home, and I'm nobody.
Right.
So I did that. We did that for a while. And then Odell, P Dog, he said, okay, I'm gonna take a break. So he took a break. Then I took a break. around 2000, I started DJing in the club back here. Well, I attempted to. I started DJing at an Escape Sports Bar, but it just, Detroit, I love my city, but it's really cliquey. It's really, and I've never been a person to get down with cliques. I've never been a cliquey person, If
you must have grew up in the school of Mike Banks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I just, that's why, that's why I just learned to like stay out the way. Let me get out the way. Y'all going over here, y'all fight over this, y'all fight over that. I got my eyes on something else. I had my eyes was focused on the world instead of just being focused on here, And so I went back, I started the label back, and I started producing records again, and I started going back out, and it's just been, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. And I really didn't go full time until 2019, because I was still doing my day job, that family and all that kind of stuff. But in 2018, the dates were coming. They just kept coming. So I would use my vacation time. I would go over in the fall. Then I would go over in the spring, but then they just kept coming. So my agency was like, man, he's like, Maaco, you're gonna have to make a decision, man. So then one time I was at this club over in London, and Sherrod came, and we were talking, and he said the same thing. He's like, man, you got to make a decision, mate. He said, if this is what you want, you got to make a decision. And so I just, I took that leap of faith.
And you think about that, the decision, and I'm gonna pay homage to two very dynamic, who, like yourself, stay out the way. They've never been a guest on my show, but we're really good friends. DJ T1000, Alan Oldham.
Yeah.
And Stingray, who you mentioned. Those two guys from the heart of Detroit, born, bred, bleed Detroit. But the decision that they made, like you said, okay, like he told you, like you said, Sherrod said, look, what you gonna do, man? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Right.
And you think about guys like them, guys like yourself. Alan Oldham, Stingray. To get you on this show because you were working.
Yeah.
And to be blessed with that. And it's so many more. And I'm not going to say too many more names because I don't want to exclude or forget about anybody, but those two, I love those guys as much as I love you for what you do. Y'all go to Detroit. Let me throw another name, Marcellus Pittman. When y'all guys, and here y'all are, just straight up hood Detroit homies. And like you said, you go over there and it's like, wow. And then you come back home and you could barely, get people to shake your hand.
Is that right? Right. It's wild.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So, European experience from doing the show. Within my first year, I went to Germany and France and went to Berlin and we running around. And let me tell you, I made the I didn't know any better. I wore an Underground Resistance t-shirt.
Oh boy, yeah.
We're just going through normal record shops, and Marie and Dimitri Hegman just really took good care of me when I was there. It was one day in Berlin. And I got UR t-shirt on because I'm thinking I'm from Detroit. I'm about to represent. And you can't, best way to represent it is with a UR t-shirt or Aux 88 t-shirt, which I did wear Aux 88 another day. But this particular day in Berlin with this shirt on, this guy came running up behind me. He could speak English, German accent, strong. like, no, it's just a t-shirt. No. This dude had cassette. I want you to sign it. I want you to sign. I said, but all right. Then I said, oh, wait a minute. I am, you are, right? So this guy was adamant. And it was some DJ guy there playing in the shops. And that's one thing I like about Europe. They bring the music. Wherever you at, you're going to find music. Every little teeny tiny bar, every teeny tiny wherever, they got DJs with turntables, massive. Everything's massive, right?
Yeah.
But man, so I know how you felt. I had never been overseas before in my life. And I put on an Underground t-shirt. And I swear, you couldn't have told me I wasn't Michael Jackson or Prince. Taking pictures.
Yeah.
You're from Detroit proper. You know. Yes, I am from Detroit proper, the real Detroit, the real 313. And it's just, it's deep. It's deep.
It is.
Like it's so deep. Then you come back to reality. But so you had to make that decision, you know. And here you are today, still doing your thing. Yeah.
And
so what your wife say when you made that decision? I'm just kidding.
Oh, she was supportive because you know.
Okay, cool.
And this the thing that kind of like really just made me just say, okay, I got to do this, because I was already getting a lot of dates with the, you know, Detroit in effect. You know, I was getting a lot of dates, you know, and then I picked up Cybertron. So when I picked up the Cybertron thing with Juan, I was like, you know, so if I'm doing that and Detroit in effect, you know,
where's their time to work a day job?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, listen, we're gonna take another break. We gotta pay one more bill here, and when we come back, we're gonna talk to the new generation. I want you to give some advice. What would you say to these folks that's coming up, and you know, give them some words of encouragement, let them know some things that they need to be conscious of, you know, in doing this business. I mean, of course, everybody's story is different, but there's still certain foundations that they need to be reminded of, you know. And by you cutting your teeth at 16, you know, being forced to play the party across the street, qualify for giving some sound advice to these new jacks coming up. So this is T. Carlita with DJ Maaco. We will be right back. And guess what? He's got some powerful words of encouragement. He's gonna speak to you young folks out here thinking y'all pushing buttons and doing some things, but it ain't gonna come from me. It's gonna come from him. This is T. Carlita for the In My House Techno Music Show, where the true stories are told and great music is definitely always played 24/7.
In My House Radio, online 24/7. Featuring only the best techno and house music. And be sure to tune in for Sunday Inspiration, every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get connected, www.inmyhouse65.com.
T. Carlita Photography, specializing in event photography, birthday parties, concerts, holiday parties, family reunions, portraits, and headshots. Let T. Carlita Photography turn your photo collection into a musical slideshow and place it on DVD for you to watch in the comforts of your own home or to give as gifts over the holidays. Call Tina Nelson now at T. Carlita Photography, 313-516-9548.
Thanks, Charles, for letting me use your gardening supplies. I'll make sure I put it back in the garage. Man, tending to that lawn is a lot of work.
Tell you the truth, Jim, I'm more concerned about keeping this house.
What's going on?
Well, you know, Sarah lost her job 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Since we lost that income, the bills have been piling up, and we're so far behind. I don't want to lose the house because of back taxes. I don't know what to do.
I understand. The same thing happened to my sister and her husband when he lost his job. Do you know that the Wayne County Treasurer has plans and programs to help people stay in their homes?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
Yeah, go to www.treasure.waynecounty.com and see if you qualify.
Say that again.
www.treasure.waynecounty.com.
Got it.
You are In My House, hosted by T. Carlito, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
I'm gonna give you my perspective, and then Maaco is gonna give you his perspective because he can speak to you from a music perspective. I'm gonna speak to you from just be authentically you.
Yep.
Do you? Don't ask for permission, because even though you may or may not hit it out the gate, but if you touch one person, that one person will ride or die with you forever, and then eventually it'll grow. Just be authentic, be true, be yourself. Come out genuine,
Exactly.
whoever you are. Because a lot of these guys in the beginning, from the Belleville 3, Eddie Folks, the whole 9 yards, Juan and Drivetrain and Aux 88, Keith, Black Tony, Maaco, Leon, all these people that you guys have today.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said earlier, you piecemealed it together. You got this, you got that, you got a little, let me borrow your drum machine. What you playing over there?
Yeah.
Take your 10, 20s, and 30s, and you create something that you can work with.
Exactly.
You practice it, learn it, and put it out there. So from me to everybody watching who's trying to do this thing, if you want to host a show, want to be a journalist, you want to do some of the things that I'm doing, just be your authentic self and be true. Because I'm going to tell you, we're going to call you out if you ain't. So your best bet is to be authentically you.
Yep.
Then you don't have to worry about making up nothing later on in life, because the truth always stays the same. It's the lies that you got to remember, or the fakeness that you got to remember. Oh, well, I was fake and bougie last week. Oh my God. Hey,
right.
Oh, she was fake and bougie last week. Now she all good and hood. If you got a hood, don't be fake and bougie, because that ain't gonna get you nowhere. Believe it won't. So, Maaco, what you got for him? Talk to the new Jacks, or as my friend in France, Cloudmaster Weed, the basement DJs. Talk to those guys. Bedroom DJs. Talk to them.
Well, I will piggyback off of what you're saying. Be authentic, and you have to really know what it is. What it is that you want to do. Ask yourself, is it a passion, or is it just a hobby, something you like to do? If it's a hobby or something you like to do, then you do, bare minimum will get you to, whatever you're trying to go. If you can do it by doing the bare minimum, you'll do it. Any kind of obstacles, anything come up, you'll quit. But when you have a passion to do something, nothing can stop you. I don't care what. You're gonna always gravitate back to it, and you're gonna do it no matter what. And when you have a passion to do something, you want to know everything about it. I've been doing this. I'm 50 years old now, and I'm still a student. I've never gotten to the point to where I can't take advice from somebody or I stop learning. One of the things that's unique about me is I grew up here in Detroit, so I got a lot of soul. Then when I started going to Europe, I started getting with those guys over there, and they're like really synth heavy, and they into modulars and all that. So I learned a lot about synth and programming with them. So now it's the best of both worlds. I got the soul and I got the synth programming and all that kind of stuff. But be authentic, learn everything about what you're doing. Everything. Don't settle for bare minimum. I'm seeing guys, well, people, these new DJs, you know, technology is a blessing and a curse. A lot of the new DJs, they get off, you know, they want to be this big superstar DJ, but the technology is what's doing most of the work for them, you know. Whether it's on Serato, whether it's on CDJs, it's showing them the beat per minute, it's got the sync and all of that. And I'm not taking nothing away from that. You know, technology is what it is. But when you go to them, you say, well, here, try this, you know, try blend these two records, try to learn, go back and learn the old stuff, because it's only going to make you better with the new stuff. They don't want to do it. I don't want nothing to do with that. I just want to do this here. They so just in the box. Get out the box. Learn everything. I told you when I was going to the studio and I went and I bought books on engineering, sound, and all of that. I'm telling you, I read those books every day, and I read them until they fell apart. And still today, I'm in my studio, you know, trying to work. I'm fighting with work and YouTube. I'm looking at tutorials on YouTube about stuff, whether it's synth programming or something about a new synth or a new drum machine or whatever. If you want to be a producer, if you on FL Studio or whatever, that's cool. But learn this drum machine over here. Learn this synth over here, because you never know. You may be put in a situation. You may be out somewhere and your computer they might not have FL Studio. You might, they might say, well, hey, yeah, so you're a producer. I heard some beats you did or whatever. And somebody fly you out to a studio and they ain't got FL Studio, but they got the MPCs, they got SP12 or whatever. And now you sitting there and you don't know what to do because you haven't taken the time to try to learn any of that stuff. There's not a drum machine I don't know. There's not well, I ain't gonna say it's not, because there's so many synths, but I can get, any synth and figure it out because I'm so familiar with them. Anything technical, mixers, DAWs, whatever. I try to learn everything about everything, because I never know when I'm in a situation. So when I'm on the road and I'm, in Europe, I'm in Australia or whatever, I can go to anybody's studio and get busy. And I think that's one of the things that, a lot of people, like when I go travel, they be excited for me to come to their studio. I remember I was in one studio and there was a guy like, man, he knows everything, but that's the passion. That's my passion. And I would just, tell anybody, learn everything about your craft. Be the best at whatever it is that you do. Be the best at it. And I don't care how simple some people think it, you be the best at it, to make people be like, damn, how they do that? Damn, And attitude. Attitude could take you really far, and attitude can also break you. I get booked a lot, year after year, and there's like a lot of the places I go every year are the same people booking me over, the same festivals booking me over. And a lot of these festivals, they don't book the same artist twice, year after year. But people forget that because they're a DJ, you in customer service. You can't go out you can't have a bold attitude or have the big head. I hear the horror stories that promoters, certain promoters would tell me about certain artists. I was with another artist, a big name artist, from here, and we played the same show together, and it was dinner. We went to dinner, and this guy he ordered like 3-4 entrees. I mean, all this, and they be like, "Man, you're gonna eat all that?" And he's like, "Well, just in case I don't like this, and I don't, and then the night of the party, they had to go and get him, and he was late. It was crazy. And on the way back to the airport, we're riding, and it was just me and this promoter, and he goes, "Man, I really like his music, but I don't think I'll ever book him again." And so and a lot of guys, they're messing themselves up. They don't understand the customer service aspect of it. You in customer service. These are your customers. You want them to be able to. You want to win them, but see, I was in management basically almost all my life. I started off. When I was in Taco Bell. I became a general manager at a really young age, and I did that for like 20 years. After that, I went to Arby's. I was in management there, and then I was at Sam's Club management.
And I'm gonna tell you something. If you worked in fast food, shout out to you, because I never in fast food, never did. By the grace of God, I never will. So I'm proud of you for doing that.
I'm telling you, and to do it
ain't for everybody,
and to be successful at it.
Right.
When I left Taco Bell, I was running 3 stores, and I was bonus out of all of them, but everybody can do it, because a lot of people think fast food, they think there's nothing. No, I have people come in there and run out the first day because they can handle it. You have to be a multitasker, So when I made the switch over to retail, oh man, I ran circles around them, because I came from that fast food environment to where you was always on your feet, you was always multitasking and all that. And retail, they wasn't, they did one thing and that was it. No, I was all over the doggone place.
And that's what helps you with what you do today.
Exactly. So I know how to win people. So when I'm going over to these other places, it's just winning people, not saying just, settle for anything or anything like that, but just knowing how to just win people, negotiate, heck, just be friendly. What's so hard about being friendly, And because to me, it's an honor and a privilege for somebody to send for me to go somewhere and do what I love to do. I would do it anyway if I wasn't getting paid. But now somebody's sending for me to come and do it. It's almost, I almost feel guilty. Like, really, making a living, doing what you love to do, that's how you know it's a blessing. I think that's pretty much it. But
that's awesome.
Well,
you know what? I really appreciate you for taking this time to be here, sharing your journey, letting your customers, your fan base, get a little backstory to who you are, where you came from, and you're not just this dynamic producer, but you are the dynamic producer, DJ Maaco, who DJ Maaco is, and you stand alone on your own. And the customer service aspect. Now, I never had anybody put it in those terms. And you know what? That is the best way to say it, because, you do have to win them in order for them to become your fans. And you can't assume.
Now, I'm sorry. When I was talking about like the promoters and all that, and as far as the fans go, I still don't really consider people as being my fans. I don't have I don't have any fans. There's some people that share the you know, they like what I do, and they share that enjoyment. No, good. You know, they share that enjoyment, and for that I'm grateful for. You know, because it's so many of us out here. It's so much talent out here. But so for somebody to take time out and to listen or appreciate what you do, again, it's a blessing, you know. But
awesome.
I know what I don't know what I know where my blessings come from. I'm a soul believer.
I do too.
You know, and I've always felt what God got for you is for you, and can't nobody take it away.
That's right. That's
you know?
right.
So
right.
when you feel that, when you know have that belief, then you don't have to be jealous of what somebody else is doing. You don't have to, you know, look at somebody else and be like, oh, they think of this or they think of that. Or you don't have to run in a clique. You don't have to be concerned about somebody trying to shut you down and all that kind of stuff, because again, what God got for you, can't no man stop it.
Well, you know what? On that note, that is our show for today. God's got for you. Ain't nothing, nobody, or a thing take it from you, because what's yours is yours. It was already written before you.
It was already written.
You just got to walk into that spot. So
Yep.
I'm grateful that God chose me to do what I do. I'm grateful that God and the universe has chosen Maaco to do what Maaco does. And by the grace of God, we will continue to do it well. And we will continue to give you the best of our soul. And hopefully you'll accept it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right. This is T. Carlita for the In My House Techno Music Show, where the true stories are told and great music is played. We have just had a wonderful conversation with DJ Maaco. He is truly part of the spirit of 313, and he is definitely keeping the wheels of steel spinning and moving. So look him up, Google him, talk to Siri, DJ Maaco. Siri, where is he? Follow him, get to know who he is, listen to his music.
They can also find me at the Detroit in Effect.
Detroit in Effect as well. Y'all heard it right here. That's what we do. True stories, great music. Maaco, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You are In My House, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
Take it from the top. take it from the top.
We're the people. From the other side. Come with us. As your body glides. Don't get scared. Don't you try to hide. We will find you and wipe you out inside.
We're the people from the other side. We're the people from the other side. We're the people from the other side. We're the people from the other side.
You are In My House, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.